Hey Elliot, what's up?
Hey Josh, how's it going?
Oh, not too bad. So you remember our very first episode? What do we call it? Intro to 9 to 5.
Yeah, I recall.
So we got some feedback on that episode, right?
Yeah, we may have heard a thing or two about it. I mean, I don't know about you. That was completely off the cuff,
Yeah,
completely unscripted,
yeah.
and we were the most comfortable, free-flowing speakers that were ready for that main
We
stage, right?
were, we were. Yeah, actually, many people could tell, they could pick up on it that the episode was fully scripted and we read from it, even though it was only 2.5 minutes long. I haven't even gone back to re-listen to it because we'd gotten so much feedback that people said, if this is what your show is going to be like, I probably won't be listening for very long.
Exactly. Yeah, it was pretty painful. I'm not gonna lie. I going through editing and everything else. I knew what it was, but everybody's got to start
That's
somewhere.
right. And we considered redoing that episode entirely and just putting something new out there as a welcome to five. But something that we wanted to do whenever we discussed having that first episode is putting together a list of what our goals were, what we hope to achieve with this podcast, both from a personal level and then what we wanted the listeners to gain as well. So that's what this episode is going to be. We put together a list of items. We're not going to read from them like we did in that earlier episode. We're just going to talk through them, but they're both very similar. So let's just go back and forth, and I'll let you start, Elliot, with your top item. What do you hope to gain from this podcast?
Yeah, thanks, Josh. So, more than anything else, I really want to become a better speaker. I know one of the most common things for anybody in a public speaking setting is adding filler words, talking too fast. It's the number one biggest fear for people for a reason. So, I want to get better at it.
Yeah,
How about you, Josh?
same here. And one thing I didn't mention is I want to issue a challenge to you and I that we don't do any editing on this podcast here or on this episode so that it can be as raw as it possibly can be and we can reflect on it a year from now and see if we've been able to achieve these things. But for me, the first thing is also to become a better speaker, but unlike what you said about slowing down, I feel like I need to speed up. I watch a lot of YouTube and I have my own YouTube videos where I feel like when I rewatch myself, I speak so slow. And I'm always like, is anybody actually gonna follow along here? And it's always that I feel like my sentences will have a pause like that and then continue where I'm like, what is my brain not working or something? Is my the connection from my brain to my mouth, it's just frustrating to me. So that's one of the things that I want to work on. Also those filler words. I've I'm very careful about those. I can get into a habit of saying like way too much. So that's my top one as well. How about your next one?
Sure. My next one would be to have deeper conversations on a routine process. I think in today's world, so many times we just are having surface level conversations that really doesn't fulfill me on any routine basis. And so having uh, conversations with a friend is something that I look forward to each and every week.
Yeah, I
How
I
about
agree
you?
with that one, and I added my own kind of twist to it that I like the deep conversations, but I also want it to be an opportunity that we can give each other some feedback and learn from each other and hopefully deep dive on specific topics because I feel like just a normal conversation, typically you bounce from one thing to the next and then you're like, well, I really enjoyed talking about that last thing that we were talking about, but now we're like 10 topics removed from that original topic because whether it's in a small group setting or a large group setting, it's just fragmented and you just tend to bounce around a lot.
Not to mention, we never go on any tangents in this
No,
show. So,
no.
so maybe next up, I would say that I want to meet new and interesting people, either through direct interaction on the podcast or different interactions that we have, either as being guests on other people's podcasts or going to fire related events. I think that the fact that we are now content producers, as weird as that is to say, to me, I know you obviously have other platforms, is it is a door that opens us to having deeper, more meaningful conversations with other
Hmm.
people that we didn't know previously.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. And for me, I put that I want to lean more towards being an ambivert. I consider myself mostly an introvert. I like to put myself out there to some extent. Like, this really doesn't bother me that I'm producing a podcast, but when I'm in a group of people, I tend to still get anxious. So I'm hoping that I can, maybe this will help me overcome some of that to an extent.
Absolutely. Next, I'd say hopefully we would like to impact people's lives in some regard. I know that we've talked about that in previous episodes of, the butterfly effect that we have had, um, just talking about the principles of Phi and this journey that we're on, and hoping that in turn that makes an impact on someone else's life.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my roadmap to financial independence was bumpy, and hopefully I can share a lot of those experiences. And then as far as what my early retirement has looked like so far and the things that I've learned, hopefully I can share some of that and tell those stories and perhaps inspire people to think differently or to consider alternatives when they're going through the process as well.
Nice. So next, I would say be as prepared for moving into early retirement as possible. We've talked about my timeline is a couple years out right now, and so I obviously want to leverage the experience from talking to you on the other side as much as possible and ease into those nice early retirement waters, so to speak.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. I think that's a really good one for you, and it's for me as well to be able to share some of that. So the next one I put is discuss what's working and what's not working. So kind of going back to that previous bullet point that I had of discussing how my adventures in early retirement. I hope to share any of the lessons that I've learned, the changes that I've experienced, and things like that along the way. So we'll talk through those. Hopefully, you'll be able to give me some advice and listen to some of those struggles, and I can learn from you as well.
Yeah, of course. The next one I threw up here was learning new skills. So this is more on the technical side of things. I'm a nerd by nature. I am an engineer, so some of those skills are video and sound editing, website design, other things that I've had some exposure to but haven't gone super deep into.
Yeah, those are great. And for the audience, a little behind the scenes here, Elliot has done the majority of the behind the scenes stuff here. So there's a lot that I still need to learn with the podcast publishing. And then also, I think taking it to the next level here, Elliot, is marketing and then how do we grow? Because I think we want to get this message out there to as many people we can, or find those people that would be interested in our stories and in our conversations. So how do we get that out there to the audience is something that I think I want to spend more time learning about.
Speak for yourself, Josh. I want it to be just you and me, and nobody else should listen to these ever.
Yeah, you're gonna reflect on them over time. Like, what did he say about this one thing?
That's right.
And I added one bonus item here, and that is to keep it simple and enjoy the process so that it's sustainable for as long as it possibly can be. And I put in parentheses there at least a year. We want to give ourselves at least a year here. So, how do we make it feel like it's something we look forward to and enjoy and we want to continue to do week after week?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that would be the last thing that I would want for either of us, is for us to be spending our time on something that we don't find
Yeah,
enjoyable.
absolutely. And it can evolve to that, things that we get in that we get excited about early on. This is going to be episode 11. We're still super excited, but we're in the honeymoon stage of it, so we just got to make sure that we maintain that.
Hey, last I checked, if we're past episode 10, we're doing better than most podcasters out there.
We're
So
in the 1%.
yeah, yeah, we're straight up pros now, is all I'm hearing.
Yep.
All right. Well, with that, I hope that you've enjoyed the journey thus far. We've enjoyed talking to each other and hope that we're having an impact on your life.
Yep. And if you like this video, if you're watching it on YouTube, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. And if you're listening to us on your podcast player of choice, please leave us a rating and feel free to leave us comments along the way as well.